Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bearcat Update. Today, I'll be updating you on how the seasons are looking for our fall sports. From a sit down with the voice of Bearcat football, John Coffey, to a look at a Bearcat Update exclusive interview with tennis coach Mark Rosewell. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. The women's soccer team moved to 2-0 in MIAA play on Friday with a 1-0 shutout over the visiting University of Central Oklahoma Broncos. McKenna West got the Bearcats on the board early, finding the back of the net in the 13th minute off an assist from Margaret Madden. That would be the only goal of the match, but it was all that Northwest needed as goalkeeper Lily Ellis had a stellar defensive outing. Ellis racked up an impressive 12 saves, securing not only the win, but also her 31st career shutout in a Bearcat uniform. Northwest will return to the Bearcat pitch this Sunday at 1 p.m. as they take on Newman for Senior Day. For more on soccer, our crew member Jackson Phelps will give us the Bearcat breakdown.
Welcome into another week of Bearcat Breakdown. I'm your host Jackson Phelps, and this week we will be taking a deep dive into this week's soccer matchup versus UCM. The Bearcats will head to Warrensburg on Friday the 10th to face their conference rival. Last year, the Bearcats faced the Jennies twice and tied in the regular season 4-4, but ultimately fell to the Jennies in the first round of the MIAA playoffs 3-2. The Jennies have been led by their offensive attack, and some names the Bearcats are going to have to look out for are starting with junior Michaela Ernst, who has been on fire this season, who leads the MIAA and the team with 9+ goals on 18+ shots on goal. She also leads the squad in points. UCM also has been led by sophomore Izzy Joyce, who has 2+ goals on 11+ shots on goal and is coming off an MIAA Freshman of the Year last year. The Bearcat offensive attack has been led by senior Margaret Madden, as she leads the squad in goals with 3+ on 6+ shots on goal. Another name the Jennies need to watch for is junior Jimena Arnau. She has 1+ goal on the season and is coming off last year's All-MIAA first team selection. UCM goalkeeping has been led by junior Kristen Wright so far. Through her first games, she has had 28+ saves and averages 3.5 saves per game on the season. Wright had 7 saves in their regular season matchup last year and had 3 saves in the MIAA playoffs win over the Cats. She's coming off an All-MIAA third team selection last year. The Bearcats goalkeeping has been led by senior Lily Ellis, and she is continuing a historic career here at Northwest. She's coming off her 30th career shutout and her 300th save of her career. Last year, Ellis nabbed 118 saves, which gave her an All-MIAA honorable mention. If she keeps up her current pace of 5 saves a game, she's on track for 85 saves on the season, another incredible number. This matchup is going to be a tough one for the Bearcats against the Jennies. The total history between these two schools favors the Jennies, as they hold a 33-3-5 all-time record. The Bearcats have not won a game against UCM in 4 matchups, and the last win was back in 2021. The Bearcats are going to have to rely on Lily Ellis to keep points off the board, but with Michaela Ernst and how electric she has been, I am going to pick the Jennies to take this matchup this year. It will be a good test to see where the Bearcats are in this point of the season. They can use some of the lessons they have learned the last 2 years to make a push for the MIAA tournament. I'm Jackson Phelps, and this has been your Bearcat Breakdown.
Thanks, Jackson. The volleyball team dropped both matches in its home opening weekend, falling to Fort Hays State and number 3 Nebraska Kearney on Friday. The Bearcats were swept 3-0 by Fort Hays State with set scores of 25-17, 27-25, and 26-24. Despite strong efforts from senior Cassidy Mowinkle, who had 14 kills, and senior Ella Caffrey, who had 33 assists. Northwest returned Saturday to face the undefeated Lopers, managing to take the second set but ultimately falling 3-1 with set scores of 25-20, 20-25, 25-15, and 25-18. The Bearcats dropped to 6-7 overall and a 0-4 in the MIAA play. Northwest hits the road next weekend with matchups against number 1 Central Oklahoma on Friday and Arkansas Fort Smith on Saturday. For more on volleyball season, our producers Jaden Varner and Reece Hill are going to give us a closer look.
We're back!
Did you miss us? Well, I hope you did, because we're back, and this time we're talking about volleyball. With the volleyball season just around the halfway mark in the year, we'll take a look at where the Bearcats currently sit. Northwest started the season in tournament play and sit with a 6-3 record heading into MIAA play. Since then, though, the Bearcats have dropped 4 straight conference games and now sit at 6-7 on the year.
Outside of great performances from Cassidy Mowinkle, Abby Boltice, and Ella Caffrey, not much has gone the way of the Bearcats, as they've won just 2 sets in their last 4 matchups. And the upcoming schedule doesn't get any easier, with UCO sitting at 17-1 so far, and both Arkansas Fort Smith and Missouri Western sitting at 10-5. Volleyball will need other players to step up if they want to gain back ground in a tough MIAA conference.
You know, and it really has been a tale of 2 teams so far this season. If you look at the Bearcats' 6 wins so far, Northwest has taken 18 of 19 sets in those matches. The Bearcats beat their opponents by an average set of score of 25-16.
On the other hand, in 7 losses this season, Northwest has won just 4 sets out of 25. The average set score in these instances is a 19-25 loss for the Bearcats.
One of the biggest struggles so far this season has been blocks. On average, the Bearcats have been getting almost 1 whole block less per set than their opponents, which has been a killer in close set losses.
It's going to be an uphill battle for the Bearcats the rest of this season, as despite having only played 2 home matches so far this season, they will be on the road for 7 of their remaining 12 matches.
And with such a polarizing performance midway through this season, it will be interesting to see what Coach Amy Worth comes up with to try and right the ship for the Bearcats. For Bearcat Update, I'm Jaden Varner.
And I'm Reece Hill.
Thanks, guys. The women's tennis team had a dominant performance on Sunday in a 6-1 dual victory over the visiting Minnesota State University Mankato Mavericks. Northwest secured the doubles point by winning 2 of the 3 matches, giving the Bearcats an early 1-0 lead. They carried that momentum into singles play, claiming victories in the first 5 singles matches to seal the 6-1 win over the Mavericks. With the win on Sunday, head coach Mark Rosewell registered his 1,290th career coaching victory. Now, stay tuned for an exclusive interview with that legendary head coach himself. But before we get into that, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, Wiley Ray will bring us an exclusive and unique edition of the Weekend Sports Report. We'll be right back. Whoa, hey, didn't see you there. So you want to know how we run KNWT? Let me show you.
We strive to improve content week to week.
From weekly entertainment to award-winning documentaries.
We have a little something for everyone.
How do we show this creativity?
Creative Services.
Welcome to this Weekend Sports Report exclusives. I'm Wiley Ray, and I'm here with the legendary John Coffey. John, how are you doing today?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's great to get to sit here and talk broadcasting with you. So, John, you just surpassed 500 broadcasts, and for a lot of people, this is just on the football side of things. So, first off, tell me how you feel about that. I mean, that has to be a great achievement to have.
Well, I don't know. It just seems like it's gone by really quick. Started in 1985. The first game was against Washburn when they were a non-conference school, I believe, at that time. And then it just seems like the years have flown by to where we're at right now.
Yeah, you know, also on top of that, you were also recognized for 40 years of broadcasting at the MIAA tournament last winter. So, you know, talk about that 40 years, 500 broadcasts. You said time flies by. You've definitely had a lot of times to see games on this field back here. Definitely have seen how the field looks differently compared to how it does today, but definitely a different team.
Oh, yeah. When I started, the press box was much smaller, and the old Rick'n'Brode Stadium, they renamed it when they built the new press box and the stands on both sides to where it is now, Bearcat Stadium. But it's really come a long way since 1985, no doubt about it. about that. And really from probably 1995 or so in particular, they start seeing things really trend in the upward way there.
Yeah, and you talked about starting in 1985 and you started broadcasting in 1985. What gave you that idea to become a broadcaster? What really inspired you?
Well, just something I wanted to do my entire life. Growing up listening to Cardinal baseball, Jack Buck, Harry Carey, Mike Shannon, and that was always part of my summers listening to the games, and I've always been intrigued with radio from that point on, and was able to go to Northwest, graduate in 1982 through the Mass Comm program, which you guys are going through right now, and it's been in the business ever since.
Yeah, you were talking about coming to Northwest and being part of the mass media communications department. What did it look like then for you? I mean, it definitely, looks. You see the photos as you walk through Wells. You kind of see the different aspects of what it used to look like. What was that experience like for you?
Well, it started off with the radio station was in the administration building. I think on the third floor of the administration building. They had that fire in the summer of 1979. So we went from there to broadcasting from a trailer right outside of where the tower was at the time for a couple months, and then moved into Wilson Hall on campus for a semester before they moved over what we referred to as the comm barn there, and broadcast there. I graduated in 82. Of course, I think they were still in the comm barn for a few years after that, and before they moved into Wallace Hall. So I think I'm really the only one right now that is broadcast from each of the sites where the radio station has been housed on campus through the years. So that's I guess makes me old, but it's kind of nice to be able to see how this program has grown through the years to the facility that we have there at Wallace Hall now, where really state of the art and something that we're very proud of.
Yeah, most definitely. And you talked about calling games. What were some of the games that you guys were calling or that you called while you were a student here at Northwest?
Well, just Northwest football, basketball, baseball. Did some intramural football at that time, which was a unique thing then too. But I had the opportunity even at that time to do games on KXCV when they were doing games with the students. Now the KZLX is doing those. But it was just a fun experience going through the program at that time, and just to be able to come back, work for the station that I went through in college, and try to help mold people like you into broadcaster. That's something that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you were talking about other sports or activities you called, and as we were on our way up here, you were talking about some other events that you called. What are some events that you have called before that were the most interesting or the most intriguing that you've been a part of?
Well, probably parades are right up there. Did the Pumpkin Show parade over at Skidmore a couple of years when I was at KNIM here in town, and just various things like that. The county fairs, a lot of different things along the line. So had to be able to do a lot of different things through the years.
Yeah, and we're obviously it's 500 for football, but you've also called a lot of basketball. We were just trying to talk about it. We were trying to discuss what that number would be, and that would probably put it up, a couple hundred more. And there's been a lot of success here at Bearcat Athletics, not just on the field behind us or the basketball court, in Lampkin. What has been your favorite moment that you've seen broadcasting Bearcat Athletics?
Oh gosh, that's hard to pick,
Yep.
But I've always talked about 1996, the first playoff win that Northwest had in football up in Omaha against Nebraska. Omaha, kind of a cold, icy game there. Northwest won on the last minute at the ball game with a little pass play from Greg Teal, who was the quarterback at the time, to Jesse Haynes out of the backfield. And that really was the game that I think put Northwest on the map. Their first playoff win. Then, of course, in '98, they won the national title. In '99, that for overtime win as well. But that game in '96, I think, really was kind of the coming out party for the football program, and let people know around the country that this Bearcat football program is going to be one that's going to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and you talked about the 1999 national championship game where the Bearcats won in 4 overtimes. What would that feel like? I know that seems like a long time ago, but what did that game feel like broadcasting it for you?
Well, it was a lot of fun. Again, second year down in Florence, so and the second year in a row that Northwest played Carson Newman. The first game down there, Chris Greisen at quarterback, and a lot of people that really built that program from that 1994. It's nice to see them have this kind of success they had that year, and Northwest pretty much put that game away early. And then, of course, the next year it was just one of those games right down to the wire, and I think Carson Newman kind of let Northwest back in the game in the last couple minutes there in the fourth quarter. And then just the excitement of that for overtime was something that's very special.
Yeah, and there's a lot of big memories that happen within, not only just Bearcat football, but Bearcat athletics. And when you look at the football side of things, especially 2016, we were just talking about that one. That was a cold game, but that one really helped solidify the Bearcats as being a powerhouse, because that was, 3 in the last 5. So, kind of walk me through. That was back-to-back, just like we saw in 98, 99. And I believe they also took the record for most Division II titles that year as well.
Well, that was, again, one of those years where I think Northwest just dominated from the very opening game of the year all the way through, and I'm not sure they were really tested throughout much of that season. They just had, they were loaded on both sides of the ball, and it was just a lot of fun to see what they were able to do to the end of the year there. And I think a lot of people knew going into that game that was Adam Dorrell's last game as head coach at Northwest, because there were rumors going around that he was going to take that Abilene Christian job, and then of course right after the game he announced that that was the case. So I think there was some emotion involved with that for the fans, knowing that was AD's last coaching game at Northwest Missouri State. So that's another one of the things that stand out.
Yeah, and the best way to go out if you're Adam Dorrell in that time. But kind of going more into just the broadcasting standpoint. And one question that I'm always curious about, you call games every week. We caught you on a bye week, but you call games every week, or even basketball season, you're on the road. How do you keep your broadcasting voice so, I'll say, perfect? Like, how do you stay healthy with it? What's your regimen for it?
Oh, I don't know if it's ever been perfect, but just really nothing out of the ordinary. In the wintertime, just a lot of maybe tea. There's a little throat tea that's out there that kind of helps out from time to time. But sometimes the things catch up with you a little bit. But overall, it's been a pretty good run. So.
And then, I had the opportunity to go with you along with Jackson Phelps and Gabe Porter to the Missouri Broadcasting Association Sportscaster Forum here a couple weeks ago. And we went to St. Louis and hung out with John Rooney and one of Northwest alumni, Tommy Thrall, who's now with the Cincinnati Reds, what was that experience like to not only get to see, someone that you've worked with in the past get to do that, but also get us to help kids like us get that opportunity to meet those big time names?
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed watching the three of you get to know those two and be up in the broadcast booth that night. It was kind of like watching a bunch of kids open up Christmas presents on Christmas morning. As much fun as you guys were having. It was just a lot of fun to see you guys have an opportunity to be up there in the booth. And of course, Tommy was very gracious to talk to you a little bit and let you sit next to him during the broadcast. So that was always something that was special, I think.
And I got one more question for you, John. What are, as broadcasters and us who are trying to make it in the industry or trying to find ourselves in the industry, what's the biggest piece of advice or the biggest piece of inspiration for us that you have learned throughout all of the years of broadcasting?
Just try to get as much experience as you can, whether it's doing play-by-play, covering city council meetings. The more things that you can do that make you hireable to get that first job out, you need to do. So just don't pigeonhole yourself into sports itself, but to learn how to do sales, learn how to do news, an on-air shift. Everything that you do in this business will pay off in the end.
All righty, John. Thank you once again for meeting with me today, and thank you for letting me ask you some questions.
All right, been a pleasure.
All righty, that'll do it here for the Weekend Sports Report. My name is Wiley Ray. We're going to throw it to John Rinehart in Next Week in Bearcat Sports. Take it away, John.
Northwest Sports just couldn't wait to get on the road again. With 6 events in 3 states next week, the Bearcats will be visitors in all of them. For all that's happening, I'm John Rinehart, bringing you Next Week in Bearcat Sports. The schedule gets started earlier in the week than usual, this time with women's golf making their way down to Edmond, Oklahoma for the Grace Shin Invitational on Monday and Tuesday. The golf team has come in 4th through both events so far this year at the Central Regional Fall Preview and the Maverick Golden Bear Fall Brawl, which is a lot more consistent than the start of last season. Northwest then gets a couple days off before a doubleheader on Friday, October 10th, with volleyball kicking it off at 6 against Central Oklahoma in Edmond. UCO is coming into this week ranked the #1 team in the country, and to this point have only lost 1 match, being against Central Missouri 3-1, and have only lost 2 other sets on the year to Texas Women's and Southwestern Oklahoma. The volleyball team is only 4-15 against the Broncos all time, and to try and right the ship a little bit this year, they'll have to find a way to slow down the 2 senior middle blockers for Central Oklahoma, Micaiah Purdue and Kedron Burke, who combined are the key pieces for the Broncos. Also on Friday, the soccer team will be kicking off a little further north at the University of Central Missouri at 7 p.m. UCM will be another tough test for the Bearcats, being ranked number 10 in Division II soccer coming into the weekend. And coming into today, UCM soccer is having similar success to UCO volleyball, with the Jennies' only losses coming against number 3 Minnesota State and number 4 Grand Valley State, as well as taking down the number 12 team in the country, Ashland. A key matchup to watch for UCM versus Northwest will be the forwards for both teams. Margaret Madden currently has 3 goals on the season and 1 assist, and she'll have to outplay UCM's forward Michaela Ernst, who already has 10 goals and 5 assists in 9 games played. The newly ranked Bearcat football team is debuting on the charts at 24, and they'll be making the trip down to Warrensburg as well on Saturday, October 11th. And although they got off to a slow start, UCM football is starting to catch their stride this season. After starting 0-2 in out-of-conference play has turned out to be a different story, going 2-0 so far, including a rout of Missouri Southern 62-10. For the Bearcats to have success against UCM and extend their 23-5 series lead, they'll have to slow down the Mules' passing game, as well as hold them under their season average on the third down conversions, as well as the Bearcats getting their own rushing game going and establishing their own passing attack. Volleyball will also be in action on Saturday afternoon in Arkansas, as they're taking on Arkansas Fort Smith. It'll be a tired Arkansas Fort Smith squad, as well returning to Gale Kundart Arena, as the Lions will be finishing out their stretch of 5 matches in 8 days. And wrapping out the weekend, soccer will potentially have the easiest matchup of the weekend of all Bearcat sports when taking on Rogers State. The Hillcats have 0 wins on the season and will be taking on the Missouri Southern Lions before the Bearcats come to town. Delana King currently leads the Hillcats in both goals and minutes on the season and will do what she can to try and right the season. The Bearcats, on the other hand, are looking forward to building off last year's 2-0 win and extending their 5-game win streak, where they've won all 5 games, a combined score of 11-2. For all that's happening next week in Bearcat sports, I'm John Rinehart reporting.
Thanks, John. Now we're going to take our final break of the show. If you like what you see, make sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to be first to know when we post new content. When we come back, our reporter Cayden Simpson will bring us a Bearcat Update exclusive interview. We'll be right back.
What's up, you guys, and welcome to a brand new season of Nerd Central. What's up, Corby?
What, you didn't get the memo?
No.
New season, which means new uploads, new crew, new host.
What? No, I didn't get that.
Get on out of here. Now that he's gone, let's bring in the crew.
Whoa!
Hey, settle down, everyone. We're gonna make sure this is a great season for the folks at home, because you're watching
Nerd Central.
Earlier this week, our reporter Cayden Simpson had the opportunity to talk with renowned head tennis coach Mark Rosewell. As mentioned previously, Rosewell logged his 1,290th win. Throughout his career, he has racked up many other honors and accolades, recently achieving the pinnacle of coaching success, being inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Now we're going to take a quick look at that exclusive interview.
Thanks, Hayden. I'm Cayden Simpson, and I am here with Missouri Sports Hall of Fame inductee, head tennis coach Mark Rosewell. Let's just get right into things. So, what got you into tennis, or more specifically, like coaching tennis?
Well, like many, I played high school tennis in Lexington, Missouri, and then I played college tennis at University of Central Missouri. And then after my eligibility was done, I became a graduate assistant coach for a couple years, and then really enjoyed what I was doing. So that's when I started coaching at Central Missouri. And then the Northwest position became open in 1984, and that's when I came up here.
And you've been here for 41 years, 42nd season, correct? What have the last 40 years meant to you?
Well, I think first of all, Northwest Missouri State is just simply a fantastic university, okay? we're growing, all the construction that's going on. We've got good leadership. Our athletic program has been outstanding across the board for many, many years. So it's pretty easy to come to work each day and have fun. And people say I have a lot of passion for the sport of tennis or just sports in general, and that would be your answer.
And what does it mean to you to hold the school record in wins with 1,267? And that's not even just tennis, that's every sport the school has to offer. What does that mean to you?
Well, okay, in all honesty, that's a great number. I'm proud of it and so forth. But I coach 2 teams, so that gives us twice the chance. We play a lot of matches and so forth. So I look more at the percentage on that. I think we win 2 for every 1. I think that's a better way to gauge things as far as just overall records, and that I've been coaching a long time and had many, many good players.
Yeah, and what have you learned over the last 45 years, like the biggest takeaways you have learned from years of coaching at UCM and Northwest?
Well, if you're going to be competitive, and this is not tennis, this is any sport, certainly college sports, it really helps if you have better players than your opponent, So the recruiting is very, very important. And I felt like I've been pretty good at that for a long time now, and had some good assistant coaches also that are really helping me more now. But I think you've got to have a structured program where many schools have just a women's team.
To check out the full interview, go to the KNWT TV YouTube channel. As for us, that's all the time we've got for you today. I've been your host, Hayden Lavaley, and this has been Bearcat Update, the provider of complete coverage of Northwest sports. We're live every Sunday at 2, and you can find us on YouTube at KNWT TV. Along with Bearcat Update, you can watch KNWT's other content. Now, thanks for watching. We'll be back in no time.